Soon I'll introduce you to someone I know very well. I've heard Daniel speak a lot, but when he talks about the ambulance crisis, about the kids left behind, about the kids in danger, I don't hear the voice of a politician. I hear the voice of a father. And when he talks about overcrowded hospitals, about loved ones waiting for surgery, I hear the voice of a son. And when he talks about the cuts that have hurt young Victorian families, I hear the voice of the man that I married 16 years ago. Noah, Grace and Joseph, they're proud of their dad, and he's even prouder of them. He's seen them grow in good health and do great things, and he wants every parent in this state to have that privilege too. He sees something special in the eyes of every child, and he's working hard to give them the best start in life. Ladies and gentlemen, my next Premier, my best friend, Daniel Andrews.
How are you? How you going? G'day, how are you? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Friends, welcome to the headquarters of Australian industry and the future of our economy. Welcome to Geelong. First, can I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and pay my respects to their elders past and present, because the oldest continuous culture known to man deserves nothing less. Of course, I want to thank Kath and the kids. They are my everything. I want to thank Lisa Neville for her words and for her hard work and for her passion about this place. In the audience today, we have 4 people who have shaped a modern Victoria. John Cain, Joan Kerner, Steve Bracks and John Brumby. Please acknowledge them. Also in the audience, we have 2 people who have shaped me, my values, my character. They've shaped me as a person. My mum and dad, Jan and Bob Andrews. And finally, can we put our hands together for our federal leader and the next Prime Minister of Australia, Bill Shorten. Bill stands up to a Liberal government that, like all of them, has only one default setting: invent a fake budget emergency and then cut, cut and cut again. It's the great lie at the heart of the Liberal agenda, and Bill has exposed it. He won't let Dennis Napthine and Tony Abbott get away with it, and neither will I. And I only need... And friends, I only need to give you one reason why. He was 23 years old, playing soccer with his mates. His parents loved him. He collapsed on the pitch. The ambulance just couldn't arrive in time. And his parents never saw him again. He was a good kid, worked hard for 6 years, and the government relied on him. But the first time he relied on the government, they let him down. Can we all please thank Steve and Joe for telling their story? Over the last 4 years, I've heard too many stories like it. Too many people taken too soon because the ambulance took too long. That's why I will end Dennis Napthine's war on our paramedics and get our health system working again. Because we can't afford another 4 years of tragedy. We can't endure a health crisis and a jobs crisis a moment longer. We can't have families left on their own. We can't accept the highest unemployment rate on the Australian mainland. We must do more and we must do better, especially in Geelong. This proud city is home to generations of hard-working people, and I know what employment means to them. It's more than a pay slip, it's pride. That's what it is, pride. That's why Labor has a plan to create the high-skill, high-wage jobs of the future, to get this city and this state back to work. But friends, I'll say this: the best jobs will mean nothing unless we have the best students in the country with the best skills in the world. And that starts at school. From the first day of kinder to the last day of training, I want every square inch of our education system to help our kids build for their career and begin their life. Today, I want to tell you how a Labor government will change our education system and change our future. Outside the home, a child's world is their school. That world has to be safe. That world has to be comfortable. But when you see children learning in portable classrooms with asbestos in the ceiling, nails on the floor, rattling windows, filthy bathrooms, that's not a world that a child should ever have to inhabit. The Liberals abandoned our schools. They rolled up master plans and they wound up construction work. And across Victoria, classrooms are crowded. Facilities are failing. Kids aren't comfortable and kids aren't safe. They have first-rate teachers and support staff. We all know that. But friends, they can't get a first-rate education in a second-rate classroom. So I'm proud to announce today that a Labor government, we will rebuild our schools. We will rebuild our schools and we will make them safe. $120 million for needy Catholic and independent schools and an initial allocation of $510 million for government schools. And we can't forget about the little ones either. Kath was the president of our local kinder, And like so many centres across Victoria, it does so much without the Liberals' support. To have children in their most vulnerable years, eating and learning and playing in facilities that aren't up to scratch, well, that's unacceptable. And that's why a Labor government will allocate $50 million to rebuild and upgrade our kinders across Victoria. So our little ones, every little one, gets the best start. A Labor government will rebuild our schools, and a Labor government will restore our skills, because the best jobs will mean nothing without them. As we speak, the youth unemployment queue is growing. Our own lost generation is forming. Good kids, smart kids, who work hard in school and want to work hard in life, but they won't get the chance because the Liberals cut TAFE. In the middle of a jobs crisis, they closed down a jobs machine. That's their legacy, a padlock on the front gates of our future. Some campuses shut overnight. The others are doing half the job with half the funds, and they're shrinking every year. They're on their knees and they need our help. Gough Whitlam built our TAFE system, and I refuse to sit back and watch it die. That's why, friends, I'm so proud to announce that a Labor government will immediately implement a $320 million rescue fund to save our TAFEs. We'll pry open the padlocks and give kids a chance, and the funds will start flowing on day one of an Andrews Labor government. On day one. Because, friends, this is an emergency and we simply cannot wait. Our TAFE Rescue Fund will reopen campuses that closed, bail out campuses in strife, and upgrade labs, workshops, classrooms and buildings across Victoria. We'll make sure that the system survives next year, but we also want it to survive the next decade. Bruce Mackenzie founded Holmes Glen TAFE, and he ran it for 31 years. He's an education leader who spoke out against the Liberals' TAFE cutbacks. And under a Labor government, he'll lead an urgent, independent review into the way we fund our training system, because we need to get this right. Friends, Labor will always fight cuts to our kids' education. But we are not defined by the things that we are against. If all we ever did was repair Liberal damage, we wouldn't move forward an inch. We need new ideas to fix our economy and our education, to build something bigger and leave behind something better. We can all agree Victorian students deserve a head start on a hands-on profession. They shouldn't have to wait. And so I propose a powerful change to the way our system works. I'm proud to announce today that a Labor government will reintroduce tech schools to make sure our kids are trained for the jobs of the future. A $125 million plan for 10 regional centres of excellence across our state, focusing on local industries for students in years 7 to 12. Whether they want to build engines, or fix engines. Whether they want a degree or a trade certificate, no matter where they go, this is where they'll come from. Tech schools have been tried before. Here's how ours will be different. It won't be an either or. Students who enrol in the regional tech will also stay enrolled in the local secondary school. They'll spend a set period of time every month getting their technical education alongside their secondary studies, not in place of a comprehensive education, but as a critical part of it. And friends, for the first time, they'll be run by TAFEs, universities and industry. Local companies will help design the courses they need for the workers they want. It's not just a path to a career, it's a red carpet. And it's the next big reform. There'll be 10 across the state, and one of them will be built right here, so that today's Geelong students can be tomorrow's Geelong workers. It's about bringing TAFE, universities and employers into the classroom, closer to home, closer to families. Be in no doubt, tech schools are coming back, refined and reformed. Because a Labor government won't waste time talking about an economic transition, we'll be making it. But the true task, the art and the science of education, is not just preparing our young men and women for the workplace, but preparing them for life, helping them fit in, keeping them safe and sound, teaching them to enter our economy with confidence. Education exists to take our kids forward. Failure strikes when we leave them behind. So if there's a kid out there who learned to read in an old portable, learned to kick a footy barefoot, learned on an empty stomach, couldn't see the whiteboard, well, they couldn't go on school camps or on sports trips or on excursions. Be in no doubt, there's a kid who's been left behind every step of the way. These are kids who are loved, but their families are doing it tough. Think about the tens of thousands of Victorians who have lost their jobs under the Liberals. They aren't bludgers. They're hard workers whose lives changed with just one phone call. They're the families the Liberals forgot. Teachers and support staff, they try their best. I know that. I've seen it. But there's only so much a teacher can do if the system is letting them down. A system that's been hit with the biggest cuts in history. And when the Liberals cut, they spared nothing. Free fresh fruit, free vaccines, free visits to the local GP, even a program to help kids learn how to read. My boy Noah did reading recovery and it works. It works. The program didn't cost much. It was something that every government can afford in their wallets and in their hearts. So the Liberals weren't forced to cut it, they chose to cut it. They chose to cut it because they just don't get it and they just don't care. But friends, I know that every child who's held back holds us all back. And I want to tell you how I'll take them forward. Help them fit in. Help them work hard. Help them thrive. We have a plan, and it starts with what they wear. A school uniform is not as simple as a pair of blue stubbies anymore. They're becoming unique and much more expensive. And if you're not wearing the right uniform, the right shoes, the right stripe, well, that's a big thing for a young kid. State Schools Relief have provided uniforms and shoes to struggling families for 80 years. They get almost no support from the government. There's so much they cannot do. Victorian kids should worry about their school work, not their school wear. That's why a Labor government will invest over $15 million into the school uniforms program to help more kids fit into their clothes and fit in with their mates. But it's not simply uniforms. It's not simply uniforms. Kids can't get a decent education if they can't even see the whiteboard. State Schools Relief want to provide free eye tests and free glasses for 250 disadvantaged Victorian schools. But the plan needs funding to get it off the ground, to make it work. I'm proud to tell you that that funding will come from a Labor government. My mother taught me breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but 1 in 7 Victorian kids go to school hungry. The slump sets in almost straight away because an empty stomach is an empty mind. The previous Labor government pioneered free Fruit Fridays. The Liberals abolished it, of course. This week marked the 119th Fruitless Friday. As we know, we have the best schools. They get creative, they work really hard. Breakfast clubs started to pop up right across our state, providing fresh fruit and cereal, breakfast to hungry kids. Families and kids across Victoria rely on these clubs, and now they rely on us. The clubs want to do more, and we want to help. That's why a Labor government will invest over $13 million to feed 25,000 hungry school kids every single day. Camps and sports trips and excursions cost families and schools a lot of money. But for kids, they're priceless. They're an extension of the classroom. And they're not just about learning new things. They're about fitting in. But the Liberals cut the allowance. Schools are cancelling excursions because they don't have the funds. Kids are missing out on camps because families can't afford them. And it's leaving a hole, a deep hole in our education system. A school I visited last year, 95 Year 11 and 12 students. All but 5 of them had never been to the Melbourne CBD until they went on a school excursion that year. If not for a school visit at the cusp of their adult life, they would never have stood in the main street of their city. And you could see the city from where we were standing. I want to help more kids fit in with their mates, in their classrooms, on the field, and in our world. And that's why I'm proud to announce that a Labor government will establish a $150 million camps, sports and excursions fund so that every kid gets those opportunities. We're going to make sure every kid across Victoria gets that chance, because our kids deserve that chance. They deserve safe classrooms and the best skills in the world. They're entitled to it. They're worth it. And our plans will guarantee it. They're fully funded and they're fully costed. and they'll be signed off by a leading global accounting firm, because I want to start work on day one. Dennis Napthine and Tony Abbott's cuts have taken us backwards. But we won't just repair the Liberal damage. We'll build something bigger and something better. Friends, we're here today in the shadow of a man who towered above his time and towered above us all. Gough Whitlam marched our nation into the future and found our place in the world. But according to the man himself, his greatest achievement was schools. And the father of Australian fairness suggested as his personal definition of equality, every child with a desk, a lamp and their own room to study. Because he understood this powerful truth. Every child that's held back holds us all back. And every student who reaches their full potential helps us reach ours. So I make this promise to Victorian families. From preschool to postgrad, a Labor government will be there for you every step of the way to help your kids get through the most important years of their lives. Friends, we won't just fix schools. We'll help them do more. We won't just fund TAFE, we'll guarantee it for good. We won't just help students get by, we'll help them get better. We will take our economy back to school. We will make Victoria the education state. And we will make sure friends, and we will make sure that every child gets every chance, because they're worth every cent. Thank you very much.